What's up, everybody?
How's it going?
I'm Nick Wright.
And I'm Josh Wachtel.
And we are
Hoosier Hipsteria.
We are 2/3 of Hoosier Hipsteria,
yeah.
In fact. The other one, David Keller, this is our intro music. The third one, David Keller, is a little busy, probably parking cars right now.
He's actually at a bowling alley right now.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, because he was tweeting about it
Usually
earlier.
he parks cars for hill people.
Yeah.
at casinos in rural Indiana.
And old people in pajamas.
Definitely. This is our first video cast, and we're going to take a couple minutes and complain to you about how terrible our brackets look right now. Last week we had a podcast, and all of us were pretty sure that everything that we said was going to happen exactly the way it was on our bracket, and that is not the case, not even in the slightest.
Yeah, definitely not.
Looking at my bracket right now, I actually had to redo this because I was so mad at my old bracket that I just ripped it to shreds, and so I had to remake this bracket.
I wish I could have seen video of that.
Some highlights here. One, you guys, if you listen to my podcast or the podcast from last week, I know it was an hour and a half, but you'll notice that I had the University of Georgetown Hoyas in my national championship game. That did not go well at all, as Mark Gottfried got the best of the Hoyas in the second round. Josh, what was the worst thing that could have happened to your bracket?
Worst thing that happened to my bracket? Well, and I'm not trying to brag, but there hasn't been a devastating blow to my bracket yet. All 8 of my Elite 8 teams are still in, and honestly, my first round was frighteningly bad for me, because I usually what happens is my first day is terrible, but then my second day I miss one game. That clearly did not happen, since there were two seeds that lost, Duke and Missouri, which I think maybe 4 total people called it either one of those, and they were probably just kidding. But I did lose a few Sweet 16 teams in the first round. I think the worst thing that happened to me was in the West region. I had Long Beach State beating New Mexico and Davidson beating Louisville, and neither one of those things happened, so that was pretty embarrassing. The thing is that they both could have happened, which is, I think, what happened with Nick's bracket, too. All of the things he picked could have happened, but none of them did.
The only 2 things inconceivable to the most of the populace was Missouri, who felt like they got robbed of being a 1 seed, and they lost to Norfolk State. And
they answered the critics loudly.
Yes, they did. And Duke, which lost to Lehigh, that's the first time that two seeds have lost in the same day. Probably actually in the same tournament as well.
Yeah, this happened, I think, 4 times total. Last time was in 2001, so pretty ridiculous day.
The rest, there are some matchups. I called Wichita State over VCU. That was probably against my better judgment. For my deep-seated 1-year-long hatred of the Wichita State Shockers. And
you hate Wichita State?
Well, they beat Alabama in the NIT postseason championship last year.
Well, that answers that.
Also, I picked the same upset everyone did. Long Beach State over New Mexico, and Steve Alford actually upset, being the 5 seed. And
I will say this.
New Mexico.
I will say this. I usually nail the 12-5 games. I got 1 right this year, and it was the one I was least sure about. So that's upsetting. It was the USF beating Temple.
Yeah.
Which I was kind of I don't know. Another one that really upset me was when I first filled out my bracket, I had Kansas State beating Syracuse, and that was before Fab Melo was ruled ineligible, and it was at a track meet the day that it was happening, so I was furiously texting for info to get updates on the game. I was like, oh, they're getting crushed. And then Kansas State was winning, and I was really happy. Then the next time I checked, I think Syracuse was winning by 15, and then I had no words.
I bet you felt really cool.
I felt
for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
What upsets did you nail, more or less?
Well, let's see. Do you want to do first round or everything?
Well, I didn't nail any second round upsets because, as you saw in last week's show, I was all chalk for the Sweet 16. First through fourth seeds in all of my brackets for the Sweet 16, which was just stupid. But I did nail the two 11-6 matchups pretty well. The NC State, San Diego State, I got that one correct, as well as Colorado, UNLV. And I basically picked against UNLV because the only time they've been good is when they cheated. Yeah, they cheat openly.
I was pleased with myself because I got all 4 6-11 games right.
And then just the 10-7 Purdue St. Mary's, which was an easy one because they got robbed of a good pick.
Definitely. They almost beat Kansas too, which was a really good game. But yeah, for me, I had the two 11-6s. I had Purdue. I had USF. That's honestly it. But in the second round, I called Cincy upsetting Florida State, which that was one of my more sure picks. And I don't know how Florida State was 3 seeded. I guess they won the ACC tournament, but I just didn't think they were that good. So I got that right. I think that's the only. Yeah, I picked Duke to lose in the second round, so I was kind of right. Except I thought Notre Dame was going to do it. So I actually didn't even lose in the second round, so I was completely wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, looking at my bracket, I got 21 of the 32 first round games correct, but then I got 11 of the 16 second round games correct.
Yeah.
So going off the ESPN point system, I have 430 of the possible 640 points.
I'm looking to see what I have.
And that's not good. That's not good enough, in my opinion. But then again, I always do terribly in the bracket.
How about we do this real quick? We have a group on the ESPN Tournament Challenge thing called Hoosier Hipsteria, featuring me, Nick, David, and some of our closest friends, and my brother, who I hate. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Well, right now, David is in second place.
So he's the smartest analyst.
With 406. Well, that's going to come to a bitter end pretty soon, I think. I have no reason why. He has 460 points. My brother, Thomas, who was on the podcast last week, he is winning with 480 points. He is in the 99.6 percentile. Mick, you're in fourth.
Oh, that's
430 points.
A lot better than I thought I was.
86.1, and I sadly am in 6th.
I'm in the 86th percentile right now.
Yeah, I'm in.
That's the highest I've ever been.
I'm in 6th with 410. I'm in the 70.5 percentile, and that's out of 19 people. So, we're all doing pretty well so far. It's not set in stone because we're going to get on the Elite Eight soon, but yeah.
Yeah. So let's say you have a second chance. You can start over with this field of 16 right now. Who do you pick advancing to the Elite Eight? I'm going to just draw in who is in our Sweet 16.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good.
Right now. Well, 13 Ohio kind of wrecked everyone's bracket to the pleasure of Clark Kellogg and his son. Then 11 NC State, didn't call that right at all. Cincinnati.
Got it.
Whatever. And I had a lot more faith in Florida State than I should have. I originally had them in my Final Four. I'm really glad I changed that. And then Xavier.
Can I just say, best case scenario for me is IU beats Kentucky this weekend on Friday. Then they play Xavier in the Elite Eight and win by triple digits.
Is that not everyone's?
I think that's everyone in Indiana's dream. Is that happening?
Okay, yeah. All right, so looking at the South region, the 4 remaining teams are the top-seeded Kentucky, 4th-seeded Indiana, 3-seeded Baylor, and then the upset 10-seed Xavier. We should just expect the Xavier Musketeers to do this well in the tournament all the time.
Yeah,
regardless of seed.
They're kind of like Butler in that you always pick them to lose early, but then they always make. Well, not always.
You always count them out, and then they prove you wrong.
It's like even when they were like a 3 seed or something like that when Jordan Crawford was there. I want to say. I don't know if that's right or not. They were a high seed recently, though, and I picked them to lose in the second round, and they made it to the Elite Eight. So I'm pretty much always wrong about them.
All right, so just some quick analysis. 1 Kentucky versus 4 Indiana. Who do you have winning?
Well, it depends on which bracket you look at. But in real life, I think Kentucky's going to win it. There are a lot of people who are saying that IU's going to lose by 15-plus points.
Myron Metcalf.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't be shocked if it happened, but I will expect a close game because I think people are really underrating Indiana's talent, and I think Kentucky's very good, obviously the most talented team in the country, but I think Crean will outcoach Calipari, and if Kentucky wins, it's going to come down to the fact that they're just better than IU right now. But I think Kentucky's going to win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I said this on last week, which means I'm a man of consistency. But I say Kentucky wins initially by 5, then the foul shots start coming in and push that lead into the double digits. It won't necessarily. It's not at all an upsetting ending to this Indiana season.
Definitely,
it is going to probably be the marquee Sweet 16 matchup. Was 9:45 on Friday?
Yeah.
So most likely the last Sweet 16 matchup.
Did the game start on Thursday?
Yeah, so
okay.
Thursday and Friday. It'll be the last matchup in the Georgia Dome. That's going to be something to adjust to because in large football stadiums, shooting is different.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
and the fans play a different role because it's going to be a little different. I don't know.
I have Kentucky in the Elite Eight. Now this 3-10 Baylor Xavier matchup. Who do you have?
Well,
If you can start over.
If I could start over,
yes.
I think I'd still go with Baylor because they have Perry Jones III and Quincy. No, Quincy AC. Is that his name? Perry AC?
Maybe. We know a lot about sports.
Well,
folks.
it's just I know 2 guys are Jones the third. I hate calling people that, and AC. I just don't remember their first names. But Baylor's really talented, and I think that Xavier could win. I don't know enough about Xavier because they don't have Jordan Crawford anymore, or anyone else that they've had recently. I like Baylor. I don't know enough about those 2 teams to do any.
Yeah, I think Xavier's run ends here. I don't know if you guys saw, but Brady Heslip in the middle of the second half of that Colorado game was lights out. Did not miss a single 3. Well, he missed 1, but that was after his streak. One of the more incredible performances I've seen in the NCAA tournament from just a guy like that. So yeah, that pretty much takes us to a Kentucky-Baylor Elite Eight matchup. Who is going to your Final Four?
It is Quincy
from that.
I have Kentucky. I just think Kentucky's too good. I just think it's going to take a superhuman effort to beat them. If somebody is going to beat them before the Final Four, it's going to be Indiana. I'm just going to say that right now.
Team's got too much talent. Kentucky is going to New Orleans. Moving on to the West bracket, we have Michigan State, Louisville, Marquette, and the 7th seed, Florida, getting a little bit of help from Norfolk State, more or less.
Who they destroyed, by the way.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Looking at the first matchup, Michigan State, Louisville, who do you have going into that one?
I have Michigan State, and I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout because that'll jinx it. But I think Michigan State is better than Louisville on almost every level, especially coaching. And you cannot pick against Tom Izzo, especially when he has a good team. That's my rule.
Guys, Rick Pitino has done some pretty crazy things with the Louisville teams in the past. They always kind of fly under the radar, and then they beat the number 1 team.
Yeah,
that always happens in the regular season. They make deep conference tournament runs, which, as you know, is a bracket in and of itself, with 16 teams in the Big East. But that said, I think Tom Izzo outcoaches Rick Pitino on almost every level. I have Michigan State in the Elite Eight. The 3-7 matchup, Marquette, Florida. Who do you have moving on? Do you have Florida with the upset?
I do not. I had picked Marquette initially. I had Marquette initially beating Missouri, and I stand by that. I think Marquette. I feel like a total idiot right now because I cannot remember the guy's name. But Marquette has a player I'm going to look that up real quick, and I'm going to stall as I do so.
That's fine. I'll throw mine. What I would like to see is Florida.
You're an SEC guy?
Well, I just think the team has had a lot to prove this season. They came in with a lot of expectations. They were ranked in the top 10 coming into the season, and now I want them to do really well. That said, I think Marquette is just a more put together team,
definitely
a lot older of a team, and I don't see Billy Donovan doing it this year.
I agree.
If he keeps his talent out of the NBA for at least a couple of years, they will be a higher seed in later years and will take the team deep again.
And Joakim Noah will come back.
Quick pick: Michigan State, Marquette. Seems like we both have the same.
Yeah.
Who's going to your Final Four?
I have Michigan State. I think Draymond Green cancels out Jay Crowder, who was the guy I was trying to think of. I remembered Crowder. I think Draymond Green right now probably I don't want to rank him, but he's one of the best players in the country. Definitely one of the top 3 players in the country. I think he's a senior. I think this is his year just to go far.
Well, Day Green is probably I'm going to say third best big man in college basketball. I still think Anthony Davis is first, so does
Solinger.
Like everyone else, and then Solinger
from
Ohio State, and then Draymond Green. They don't have to play Kentucky or Ohio State.
They have a pretty.
So I see them going to the Final Four in arguably the easiest bracket in this tournament.
Yeah, well now the Missouri State can add definitely.
Moving on to the upper right in the East, we have surprisingly still have number 1 Syracuse, even with their loss of Fab Melo, 4 seed Wisconsin. A 6 seed Cincinnati and 2 seed Ohio State. Looking at that top matchup, Syracuse-Wisconsin, is this where the line gets drawn for this hurting Syracuse team?
Sorry, I just burped. I had Wisconsin in the Elite Eight because I had Kansas State upsetting Syracuse, and I'm going to stand by that. I think Wisconsin is the way they play is they handle the clock so well, and it's really annoying for fans of other Big Ten teams when they play Wisconsin because their offense is give the ball to Jordan Taylor, have him stand there for 28 seconds, and then they run a play and score. And their defense is just so suffocating, and they're not going to have their second best player ruled ineligible like 4 minutes before the game. So I'm going to take the opposite. I'm going to pick Wisconsin. I'm going to go with my gut and have them in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, I also have the Bucks stopping here for Syracuse. Without a big presence like Fab Melo, there's no way they're going to get any further in this tournament. They have a great team without Fab Melo. I've been a big Scoop Jardine fan.
Jardine. Best name
both for nominal reasons and just that he's a good player and he's a leader. But Wisconsin's a more put together team. Much like Marquette, and I see them going to the Elite Eight, knocking off the first number 1 seed in the tournament. This, not really, it's kind of an upset, but if you look at their performance in the last couple weeks, Cincinnati has been one of the better teams in the country, and they're taking on 2 seed Ohio State later this week. Who's making it out of that stadium alive?
I originally picked Ohio State. I have Ohio State in the Final Four, and I'm going to stand by Ohio State beating Cincinnati. I think Jared Sullinger is just going to go bananas in that game. But I will say, Jared Sullinger versus Yancey Gates is going to be one of the best duels. Not literally, because we all know that Yancey Gates, But I think Ohio State's going to pull it out. I think Jared Sullinger is one of the best players in the country, and I think he's going to pull his team through.
We're certainly not Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith with these tournament picks. I also have Ohio State in the Elite Eight. That's just a guy like Jared Sullinger and what's their guard's name? Kraft?
Aaron Kraft.
Defensive
player in the year of the Big
Ten.
He's so annoying, but I would love him if he
is he more annoying than Chris Kramer?
No one is more annoying than Chris Kramer for me.
Yeah, I have Ohio State going to the Elite Eight in this Ohio area matchup, and I don't think any more needs to be said about that. Which you got a Big Ten matchup in the Elite Eight. Who is moving on to represent the Big Ten in New Orleans?
Ohio State.
Ohio State,
Too good
for sure. And this Midwest bracket, which is the most shredded for me, so I can't really speak from expertise. The 1 seed UNC, 13 seed Ohio, 11 seed NC State, and 2 seed Kansas. Are we going to see a double-digit seed in this Elite Eight, Josh?
Well, I'm not going to say yes, but I do like NC State's chances.
Yeah, okay.
I think NC State could. Kansas. I'm an IU fan, as everybody who listens to this knows, and I don't like Purdue. There is no denying the fact that Matt Painter outcoached Bill Self again for 39 minutes and like 40 seconds. He exposed so many flaws with Kansas's team. I think if NC State watches film on that game, I think NC State's really underrated, and I think they're good enough to pull off the upset. It's not saying that that's my pick, because I'm going to go with Kansas, but I would absolutely not be surprised if NC State won that game.
Yeah, if either 2 seed is going to do anything about it, it's going to be NC State. North Carolina is just too good of a team for these Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of senior leadership from Tyler Zeller. They just have a good team. I think even with Kendall Marshall being out,
I was gonna say
Ohio, they can afford to rest him against Ohio for a potential Elite Eight matchup against Kansas. I still have Kansas rocking chalk into the Elite Eight, and this is where NC State's tournament run ends. But you can look forward to seeing them next March when they're just a lot better of a team.
NC State?
Yes.
Yeah. I want to agree with you on the UNC-Ohio game. I think that they could probably rest Marshall and Henson and another guy, probably not Barnes or Zeller. But I think the UNC is a very complete team. It is going to be interesting to see how they play without Kendall Marshall, though, because he is the glue that holds that team together. So, yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see how that
What's
goes.
up, Horde?
How's it going?
We just got done talking about the Florida Gators, so giving them marginal praise.
Yeah,
Are you doing your
definitely.
podcast right now?
No, we're just doing some live stuff.
Yeah.
It's not the podcast, but yeah. So luckily I get a chance to start over. Because both of my Elite Eight teams are done. So I'm gonna go ahead and say North Carolina over Kansas.
North Carolina over Kansas.
I don't have any explanation for
That's what
that.
I have too. I think that UNC is better than Kansas. Simple as that.
All right, so the Final Four looks like Kentucky, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Georgetown. Not Georgetown.
That would be weird.
That's wishful
That
thinking.
would be the biggest upset maybe in the history
Wishful
of sports.
thinking. North Carolina instead of Georgetown. Those would be the 4 teams represented in New Orleans. And that's it. I'm done complaining about my bracket, I think.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really have much to complain about because I am a genius when it comes to picking brackets.
Oh, okay.
Nah, I'm just joking.
Whoa.
I love the fact that you had Michigan playing Georgetown, though.
I had Michigan playing Georgetown.
Can we talk about Michigan for a second? How lame was that? Because the Big Ten represented themselves so well in the tournament.
I don't know, because I didn't watch that game.
I didn't watch it either.
I got a text about it and then yelled at my phone.
I was pretty mad because the Big Ten was like, they're the only team that lost other than Purdue, and Purdue was playing Kansas. I mean, come on. I was so mad at Michigan.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. Well, that's all. That's all we're going to discuss for the time being.
Quick question:
What?
Now that Georgetown is not in it, who do you like to go to the championship game along with Michigan State?
North Carolina.
Do you like UNC?
I like a rematch. Yeah, I like a rematch with a different outcome.
Yeah, that was keep forgetting that game ever happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
We're gonna end it here, but this mini-cast was brought to you by G2's Tropical Blend. Oh, I guess Sprite.
Hopefully, we'll get some money for this advertising.
Nope, not gonna happen.
Probably not gonna happen.